Okay, Saxon 4 math class, we are ready for lesson 87, multiplying two-digit numbers, and this is part 1. So let's start with some examples. I'm going to teach you the traditional method that your parents probably learned with. It's what I learned with too. But then I'm also going to teach you a newer method that one of my daughters really loved. So let's take a look at 31 times 23. To begin with, I'm going to cover up something that we just need to ignore. Okay, we're going to start working with the ones placed on the bottom. We're going to work with the 3. I even like for you to get your pencil in motion and tap these so you'll get the algorithm and how it's supposed to feel. Okay, here we go. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Now we're moving to the second step. So I'm going to cover up the ones. Okay, now the first thing that I like to do with this method is to come down and put a placeholder, a 0, okay, before I start my second step, because and the way I think of this is that we're just moving over 1, okay. We're not going to put our first answer right here because we're moving over 1. Here we go. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Now at this point, you're going to add these numbers together. 3 plus 0 is 3. 9 plus 2 is 11, and 6 and 1 is 7. So our final answer is 713. Okay, now we're going to take a look at something called lattice multiplication. And if we go to coolmath.com, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand when you do this really cool trick called lattice multiplication is that when you do an answer, you need to know where to put your tens and your ones. So 2 times 7, we know that's 14. Here's what it would look like with lattice multiplication. You draw a square, you divide it in half diagonally, and this is like reading a multiplication table. We say 2 times 7 is 14. So you put your tens on the left and your ones on the right. Okay, let's get a little bit harder. Okay, let's take a look at, here's 8 times 9, and that's 72. That's pretty straightforward. And 5 times 6 is 30. Here's how you would write that. But what if you have just a single digit answer? Well, you put a 0 in the tens place, okay? So 2 times 4 is 8, would look like this, a 0 and an 8. Let's keep going. Now let's try a problem that looks like what we're working with today. 2 digits times 2 digits, 14 times 56. So here's how you would write it, okay? You would draw a 2 by 2 square and then divide each of those little squares diagonally, okay? And we're going to start here with 1 times 5, and look how they write the answer, a 0 and a 5, okay? The second step is 4 times 5, and that's 20. The next step, let's do the 6 times 1, which is 6, 0, 6, don't forget. And the final step here, 6 times 4 is 24. Now we have all the boxes filled in. Here's how you find the final answer. You look at it diagonally, okay, and we're going to add up the columns. We're going to do it just like we would if we had our head turned to the side and this was a math problem. We would do like this. 4 plus nothing is 4. Now look at this column. 0 plus 2 plus 6 is 8. 2 plus 5 plus 0 is 7. And 0 plus nothing is 0. And here's how you read your final answer. You kind of go down and across. You don't even need the 0 in front. So this answer is 784. Okay? Now let's go back and try our 31 times 23 like that. I'm going to cover that one up over here. 31 times 23. the first step. It's really great to do this on graph paper, and your answer sheets are like that, so that's wonderful. But if you ever are just working this out and you've just got scratch paper and it's blank, why, you will have to draw your little 2 by 2 square here if it's a 2-digit times 2-digit. And then you divide each of those little squares in half diagonally, and we're ready to go. Okay, so let's do 2 times 3. Do you see how that meets? It's kind of like reading a multiplication table when you look and your finger goes down and across and it meets. So 2 times 3 is 6, but I would write that 0, 6. Okay, now 1 times 2 is 2, but we would write that 0, 2. And now let's do 3 times 3, which is 9, but we have to write it 0, 9. And 3 times 1 is 3, but we have to write it 0, 3. Okay, now if you'll just kind of tilt your head sideways with me, it helps to draw the little arrows to see how to look. And we're going to start this way. 3 plus nothing is 3. 2 plus 0 plus 9 is 11. Okay, and so you carry just like you normally would. We're going to carry on top of the next column. So now we have 1 plus 0 plus 6 plus 0, which is 7, and 0 plus nothing is 0. Then when we read our answer, of course you don't need the beginning 0. You read it 713. So I would write 31 times 23 equals 713. And you can just choose which method you liked best. Okay? And they show us the traditional. And remember when I talked about putting a 0 for a placeholder? If you can just remember to scoot over 1 digit because you're scooting over to the tens, that's fine. But it's a fail-safe way to not forget. All right, here we go. We'll do half of these traditional and half of them lattice. So let's do the first 4 the traditional way. 32 times 23. 32 times 23. And I like to get my pencil going and tap numbers, okay? And I'm not going to use the little shape to hide it. You just have to get used to knowing which one you're working with, okay? 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to put my 0 as a placeholder because I'm ready for my second step. If you want to just cross this one out, that's fine. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Then what do I do to these 2 rows? I add them up. 6 plus 0 is 6. 9 plus 4 is 13. And 6 and 1 is 7. So final answer, 736. Now 23 times 32. Wait just a minute. You guys remember about commutative property? They've just switched the order on us, haven't they? This one has 23, so does this one. This one has 32. So guess what the answer is going to be? You got it, 736. Okay, 43 times 12. Okay, I'm working with the 2 first. If you want to underline it, that's fine too. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. 0 as a placeholder. I'm marking this one out because I'm finished with it. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 4 is 4. Now what do I do with these rows? I add them up. 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 3 is 11. And 4 and 1 is 5. So final answer on this one, 516. Now look at D. You might think that, oh, they're going to pull that same trick on us, but they didn't. This one has 43, this one has 34. This one has 12, this one has 21. So 34 times 21. I'm working with the 1 first. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. 0 is a placeholder. I'm finished with this one. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. Let's add these 2 rows. 4 plus 0 is 4. 3 plus 8 is 11. And 6 and 1 is 7. So final answer, 714. Now we're going to do these with lattice multiplication. So 32 times 32. Here we go. 32 times 32. I draw my 2 by 2. I divide diagonally. And here we go. 3 times 3 is 9, so I write 0, 9. 3 times 2 is 6, so I write 0, 6. 3 times 2 times 3 is 6, so I write 0, 6. And 2 times 2 is 4, so I write 0, 4. I'm going to switch colors here, make this a little easier to see. And we start right here. 4 plus nothing is 4. 6 plus 0 plus 6 is 12. So I'm going to do carry 12. Now I've got 1 plus 0 plus 9 plus 0 is 10. Did you see how I carried? And 1 plus 0 is 1. So I read my answer like this. And 32 times 32 equals 1024. I copy it just like that. Put in my comma, 1024. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, 22 times 14. 22 times 14. I draw my 2 by 2. I divide diagonally. My pen kind of got wild there. That's okay. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to switch colors just to make it easier to see. 8 plus nothing is 8. 2 plus 0 plus 8 is 10. I had to carry. 1 plus 2 is 3. And 0 plus nothing is 0. So I can ignore that. And 22 times 14 equals 308. Okay, 13 times 32. Draw the square. Then what? Divide them in half diagonally. And here we go. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, let's add this all up. 6 plus nothing is 6. 9 plus 0 plus 2 is 11. And 1 and 3 is 4 and 0. And my final answer, 13 times 32 equals 406. Uh-oh, I forgot my carrying. It's right up here. No, I just wrote down the wrong answer here. I said 11. 9 plus 2 is 11. Why did I put a 0 there? So my final answer is 416. So see, even teachers can mess up every now and then. Please forgive me. 33 times 33. 33 times 33. If I ever mess up and I don't catch myself, tell me nicely and I'll give you a treat. Okay, here we go. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Boy, guess what's going to go in all of these? 9. Okay. Now let's get the diagonal going on. 9 plus nothing is 9. 9 and 9. Here we go. Let's see if I can do this right now. 18. 9 and 1 is 10, and 1 and 0 is 1. So 33 times 33 equals 1089. All right. I know we need to go back and check 86 practice. So hit pause as you check 1 through 7. Hit pause as you check 8 through 11. Hit pause as you check 12 through 20. And hit pause as you check 21 through 30. Okay, now let's go to some mental math. And we've been working on adding fives and the pattern that you would get, or subtracting fives. It works both ways. What digit it would end in depends on your starting point. So here we go, 83 minus 15. I'm going to think, okay, that this is 13 minus 5. And I know that would be 8. Okay, so that's going to be my ones. I know 8 minus 1 is 7, but I took 1 away from that when I did the 13. So it's going to be 6 in the tens place. Okay, so 68. Okay, with this one, I know instead of doing the fives pattern, I love to just say, okay, 29 needs 1. I'm going to borrow it from the 35. And then I'll have 30 plus 34. 64. So see, with all these little strategies we're learning, you're going to figure out which ones are your favorite too. Okay, 76 plus 15. The 6 and 5 I know is 11. So, and 7 and 1 is 8, but if I carry that 1 from that 11, I'm going to have 1 more. So it's going to be 91. You see that? Okay, Corey figures that about 50% of the calories he consumes are from carbohydrates. Corey consumes about 2,000 calories each day. About how many of those calories are from carbohydrates? Well, 50% is half. Half of 2,000, 1,000 calories. How many inches is 1 yard? First, you have to know that there are 3 feet in a yard and that there are 12 inches in a foot. So, we've got 3 sets of 12, 36 inches. Which day of the week is 71 days after Monday? Okay, I know my weeks are in multiples of 7, and the multiple of 7 that is closest to 71 is 70. So 70 days after Monday, that'd be 10 weeks. And guess what? It would be Monday again. So 71 days, that would put us on a Tuesday. Estimation. Jayla has run a half a mile in 4 minutes 57 seconds. If she can continue running at the same pace, about how long will it take Jayla to run 1 full mile? So we would double this, right? She's only 3 seconds away from hitting the 5-minute mark. So if we do 5 minutes plus 5 minutes, that would be 10 minutes. But then how much are we going to have to subtract? At a half mile, we would subtract 3 seconds. So at the whole mile mark, we would have to subtract 6 seconds. So think 10 minutes minus 6 seconds would be, you got it? Oh, okay, estimation, about 10 minutes. I thought the exact answer would be 9 minutes and 54 seconds. Okay, calculation. This is something that you guys are still struggling with, some of you, is when we have an exponent. And what this means, this is squared. If it were 3, it'd be cubed, okay? Anything else higher than that, we would say to the, this were a 4, we would say 5 to the 4th power, okay? What it means is, take this number and write it down this many times and multiply it. So 5 squared really means 5 times 5, okay? And that's 25. So here we have 25 plus 25 would be 50, plus 6 would give us 56, divided by 7 is, divided by 8 is 7. That's called a Freudian slip when you let the answer come out accidentally. All right, here we go. Sandra bought a CD priced at $12.95. Sales tax was $1.10. She paid for her purchase with a $10 bill and a $5 bill. Sandra got back 5 coins, not including a $50, okay, just starting with quarters as the largest. What were the coins Sandra should have received in change? So let's do $12.95 plus $1.10. Let's see, let's do the 10 cents onto the 95 first. Okay, 5 more would get us up to $1. So we're at $1.05, 2.05, 14.05. and she paid with a 10 and a 5, which is 15. So now we have to do some subtraction. She paid with $15 minus 1405. And you know that that's just a nickel away from being a dollar. So this is going to be 95 cents. But let's go ahead and work it out here. We would have to go all the way over here. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 0 is 9. We've got our 95 cents. And she got back change with 5 coins. And I've tried to teach you guys that if you are ever a clerk and you are giving back change, always start with the largest coins possible. So the largest coin that most people carry around is a quarter. How many quarters could we use? We could use 3, right? That gets us up to 75. Now the next biggest coin, we couldn't use another one. So the next biggest coin we can use is a dime. So 75 plus 10 is 85, plus 10 more is 95. Is this 5 coins? You betcha. She should have gotten back 3 quarters and 2 dimes. And that brings us to the end.